Bob, thank you for having me and us again this year. As he said, this is the third time that we've been here. When Permjot first approached me, we've done a lot of work with the Canadian government in the States, in both San Francisco and New York, with their technology accelerator program. And he said, hey, you've got to come to this place, Cape Breton. It's like, okay, well, where's that? He's like, Sydney. I was like, I thought that's over in the other place? He's like, no, you have to come up here. It's beautiful. Came up 2 years ago. We had an amazing time. Actually brought my family along this time as well, too. So I've really taken a liking to and done a lot of work pro bono and my team, too, with just other Cape Breton startups as well, too. We really believe that although ideas are everywhere, opportunity isn't necessarily, right? And so the reason that, we come up here from New York, and we now have an office in New York and Austin, is to be able to talk to you guys. I mean, again, I know how it is to be an early stage entrepreneur. Trust me, we work with companies that have raised nothing and companies that have raised $250 million. So we know what it's like at every step along the way, and we're really here for you guys, right? And we're here, the reason that I keep coming back is I love the scenery. Don't want to get chased by bears again. First time I was here, we saw bears, and I ran after them. People told me that was a bad idea to take photos and videos. So today, what we're going to cover is we're going to talk a little bit about kind of the future and really where we're at today with sales and marketing. This is a completely new talk track for us. Every year that we come back, what's really important to me is that for those of you, I recognize a few people who have been here year over year, that we continue to add value and we're continuing to bring new topics. And so I know, again, some of this may be new and some of you may be on step 1 or step 2 or step 3, and some of this may seem light years ahead. But hopefully everything that we're going to talk about today should be super actionable, right? Whether you're an entrepreneur who's raised nothing and has 0 customers or 5, or you're a company that's already doing 20, 30, 40 million in revenue, all of this should be applicable. So we're going to jump into it now. We're going to talk a little bit about trends. But first, what I want to do, since we do have kind of a tight group, yeah, that's the presentation. That's the move. It's back. All right, well, good. I probably pushed the wrong button. So what I want to do first is why are you guys here, right? So before we jump into this, I want to know, and again, I'm just going to kind of do a quick, and I'm going to write down a few things here. So just want to know why all of you are here, right? You guys could be in your office, you could be out making cold calls, you could be out on meetings, but why come here? What is it that you guys want to get out of this so I can make sure that over the next 8 hours, roughly, today and tomorrow, that we cover those things. So I'm going to start here. Just again, feel free, you can. What company are you with, Craig?
I'm with a software consultant. Just me, really.
Okay.
But I've got several clients that hire me to basically give them a web presence and try to sell their products and services.
Love it.
So kind of a little bit that I had to sell myself, and a little bit that I had to sell, I guess, a new product, a new technology product too. So there's probably 2 hats on.
I hear you. What about you, man?
I'm with Arenda Software Solutions. I'm a data scientist, product manager.
Love it.
So when
Welcome.
the real salespeople have questions, they tell the client to get in touch with me. I want to communicate to them the value without seeming like I'm trying to dupe them.
Yeah.
I want to be able to communicate effectively so that they're not lost.
I got it, man. That's great. I love it. Any other product people here? Or yes, good. And this is not going to be just so all of the product people, because I know when you were probably signed up for this or someone told you, you're like, oh, it's like sales training. But we're going to talk mostly foundational pieces, so I think there'll be a lot here for you guys. I'm excited. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Janet with Dora Construction, and I guess I'm here. Our company's sort of taking a new approach to getting clients, and we have this new approach in our head, but we're trying to figure out how to convey our message to our clients, so I'm hoping that this might give me some ideas.
I promise you're going to have ideas. I promise.
Hi, my name's Peter Driscoll. I'm with 4Deep in Water Imaging, and I'm new to sales. So I'm looking for some foundational work, and told by Permjot, you're the best in the world, so those are the expectations I'm going with. So
I love it, man. Let's keep that bar up there.
No pressure, no pressure, Jake.
There's no pressure.
Matt Cooper with Blue Light Analytics, doing the product and marketing,
Cool.
leading the team there. Always looking for new ways to think about positioning product, bringing a new product to market in the next few months. So, yeah, looking to pick up some new approaches.
Okay, great.
JP Fury, I'm the CEO with Blue Light Analytics. We got 4 people here from our team. Permjot's actually on our board, so we thought that we would come to show support. And as Matt mentioned, we currently have a B2B enterprise solution deployed around the world. One of our biggest channel partners, 3M Oral Care. And we've got a new technology that Derek over here is developing that's very revolutionary, but our sales approach is going to change. So we're trying to implement a culture of sales right across the organization. So that's why we got folks from different functions here with us.
That's good. That's great. Yeah, I mean, a lot of what we're going to cover today is foundational, right? We're going to cover a lot about, like, what does it mean to build out a world-class sales org? So for all of those in kind of go-to-market mode or thinking about value and messaging, we're going to have a lot of great stuff for you. If you're all here for the same reason, it's fine. All right.
Hey everyone, I'm Marie. I'm from Spring Loaded Technology. We make the world's first bionic knee brace, and I'm here to learn a little bit more about B2C. We do a lot of phone sales, so ensuring that we're getting our working connected rates up over the phone so that we can ensure an increase in our sales month over month rather than kind of having that really great months dip, really great months dip.
Okay.
It's a longer pipeline, so shortening that pipeline to get to those sales quicker.
And you're going directly to consumer, right?
We are, yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Aaron Stevenson, Short Innovations. We're an early stage ocean tech company and are here to basically gather as much knowledge and insight as we can to help us ramp up as quickly and as effectively as we can.
Customers already?
Nothing signed. We're
Ish. Okay.
There you go.
All right.
We have rather resistant customers to a degree. So
Okay.
When it comes to a strategic approach to sales,
Okay.
we need to be very strategic.
Yeah, and absolutely. I mean, if you guys have, as we're going through this over the next 2 days, if you have questions, you're like, Jake, I like kind of get this, but here's this weird scenario. I guarantee 2 or 3 other people are going through the exact same thing. So as we start to go through some of this, you're like, yeah, I get it, but maybe this. Like, feel free, guys. Again, we're going to be here for a little bit, so let's make it interactive. Yep. I know what you do. I know why you're here. We're going to help him sell some tea. I've got so much stuff for you today. Oh my gosh. Instagram, Bob. All we're talking about today is Instagram.
Yeah, Mark Wood. I'm the founder of Ocean Sonics. So we're a 6-year-old company, and we sell high-value products to people around the world. And we want to become more effective at selling. Some of our cycle times are up to 18 months.
Okay.
And so we want to find some better ways to manage that.
Okay, great.
Do you want to add to that, Pierre? Or? No? Okay.
No, he handed the mic straight to you. I saw the move.
Hi, I'm Sandra Goodwin. I have a marketing company called Nava Marketing, and my 25 plus history working in marketing has been purely B2B. I know nothing about B2C, and I know very little about sales other than it's very different from marketing, and one feeds the other. So I'm really looking forward to this.
Oh, not today. Today they're all coming together.
Okay.
Marketing, sales, and this big kumbaya, right? How many marketers are here? How many people in marketing? Good.
I'm Jennifer Hurd. I work with Protocase.
Protocase.
Yes,
What's up?
and we're looking at doing some outbound sales. Everything's been inbound for us, so.
Oh, I know all about you.
Yeah,
guys.
exactly.
Yeah. All right, cool. So Outbound Techniques. How many of the rest of you are doing any type of like outbound prospecting, outbound sales? Certain people want to do more outbound prospecting sales? Okay, great.
I'm Shannon Payne with F6 Networks. We are a telecommunication company, and I am transitioning from a customer role into managing the sales and marketing teams.
Okay.
So I'm looking to bring some tools back to help those teams
That's
become
great.
stronger.
That's great. How big is the team you're going to be managing? 10? Okay, great.
Hi, my name is Shane Slomwhite. I'm in the business plan stages of manufacturing and sales
All right.
of an invention
we came out with, it's going to be very much an education product.
Okay.
So trying to get every bit of knowledge and information I can get.
Yeah, monetization is going to be an important part of that, right? How we're going to make money.
Hi, good afternoon. Wayne Greer. I teach with Nova Scotia Community College, and I guess I'm here for professional development. I teach some marketing courses, and going to be teaching a new personal selling course this fall. And in a past career, I was in sales and have run my own business, but it's been a while. So I've just been in the classroom. So
Sharpen it up a little bit.
The currency is a big thing for me. When I saw the marketing trends, it's going to be a big interest for me.
And feel free, all this content, guys, again, just do whatever you want with it. We're going to make it all available. We'll have a link that Bob can share out as well, too. So again, feel free. If you guys are going to use it for any type of commercial, just holler at us a little bit. But seriously, like if you come to our site, we made a big decision about a month ago. Every single piece of content on our site is ungated, right? And for those of you, I don't know if you guys know what that means or not, but it means we do not require an email for you to get content. Content more and more, there's plenty of people putting out content. If you want to sign up for the newsletter afterwards, awesome, we'd love you. But all the content's ungated. So you guys can come, download, nobody will harass you, unless you want to be, afterwards.
Hi, Jake. Welcome back to Cape Breton.
Thank you.
My name is Glenn Turner, and I also work at the Nova Scotia Community College. I'm Wayne's manager, actually. So I can add that he's here because I told him he was coming to.
All right.
We obviously have an academic interest in what you're talking about from a sales and marketing trends perspective and the currency that Wayne spoke about. And I'm sort of keen to chew on the idea of maybe a credential or something related to sales, which we do not have, but I'm keen to think about it. But I also work quite a bit with some other folks in the organization who develop solutions for industry, for some of our partners in economic development in the area. So we do spend a bit of time selling ideas, I guess, is what it is. So I'm from my own personal perspective around my own work, I'm interested to improve on how I do that.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Good.
My name is Patsy Ledbeater. I'm the CEO and founder of Comlet Technologies, which is a communication bracelet to monitor students on field trips.
Okay.
And I have about 25 years experience teaching, so the only thing I've had to sell is why you need to know math. And it still doesn't work, so I can't be very good at it.
God bless you.
I'm here because I need to learn about sales, and as well because I want to know all aspects of starting a business. We're in production phase. I'm just about to sign off on the prototype.
Okay.
So I need to know about sales for myself so that I know what I expect, as well as for staffing in the future.
That's great. Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about staffing today, too.
Rob McKenzie.
Hey, Rob.
AirMax IP. We help people pursue, protect, and commercialize their innovations. And I'm here today for the, as we talked this morning, the commission sales items for export.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Alan McCormick. I'm with For You Local. We hope to maximize buy local every day. And we're moving out of build and more, and we hope to launch very soon. And so sales are very important.
Going to be important. All right.
Hi, my name is Mikola. I'm a founder of EasyFit, and I'm on a very early stage of my company. And I'm very new to marketing, but I need some tools to manage and look for sales and marketing people.
All right. We tried to change his whole business model this morning, too.
I'm Shay Monroe. I'm the founder
of
a fitness software startup, and I'm looking to build out that just that foundation in sales and marketing.
Cool.
Hi, I'm Colin McGinnis. I'm the marketing operations manager at Security. We're here with the team here. This is the full marketing team.
All in marketing?
Yeah.
Darren's got you.
Well, we have our customer success manager here and our product manager as well, who are
product manager.
They come in on us.
Good.
here to pick up on trends and to get ideas if there are any type of CRM configurations to do.
And one other thing, if you have any tips on the best way to use sales learnings to influence UX,
sure.
that would be.
Jonathan Gillis with Brett and Andy Testing. I look after the sales operations for a small service company. So basically I come into the role there's never been a sales process beforehand or word of mouth through the clients that we had. We work predominantly in the oil and gas. So with things changing now and the market changing and how work is awarded, I was brought in to start up the sales process, build the program, and then potentially be able to hand it off to somebody else and move away from it as much.
Do you want to move away from it?
There's
part of you is like, I want to move away.
There will be a succession plan. So right now, like I would be the only person who handles that stuff.
Yep.
So if I need any time away from it, there's nobody.
We got
to
to
pick
work
it
you
up.
out of a job, right? Yeah. You've got to build out the playbook. We can do that. Cool.
Ashley Black, just recently immigrated to live here in Cape Breton, so.
Say hi for those of you, Cape Bretoners. Yeah. I've heard Cape Bretoners are like the nicest.
So really I've been engineer all my life,
Okay.
Oil and gas and pharmaceuticals. I have a couple of ideas that I'm planning to play about with here, see if I can make a business career of it. And it's really just to get the basics, where I know the North American psyche and sales is a lot different to European, even the mindset of the people. So it's to try and see what's ahead of me for that.
Okay, great. All right, good. Well, we're going to
everybody?
cover most of this. Did we get everyone?
Yep.
Yeah, mostly? Okay, I think we've got a few people back there. Okay, good. So we're going to cover 99% of this. If we don't cover it, we can talk about it, right? I'll be around for the next couple of days. So I'm just going to make sure that I'll go back and reference some of this. One thing, there's a couple in customer success leads. I'll try to talk about the parallels with account growth, meaning a lot of the projects we've been working on lately are with companies that have customers. And a lot of the times, the very first engine that you build out is more of a service mindset. And then eventually you realize that you spend all this time trying to generate inbound leads, trying to generate outbound leads. And you're like, oh, well, what if we just tried to grow our current customer base that's just sitting there? And so we work with a lot of companies that might have 50, hundreds of customers, and then finally they get to that stage where they say, oh, maybe we should pivot our go-to-market or our growth strategy around customer success. And so we're seeing many more organizations now that are starting to think with that mindset of customers. It's not customer service. That's somebody else's job. Our job is to make them successful and grow the account, right? Especially enterprise sales and mid-market sales. So, all right, so a little bit about me. As Bob said, I started Skaled about 5.5 years ago. Before that, I was the head of sales at a company in New York called Chartbeat. I was the vice president of sales at a company called Glassdoor, which had a $1.2 billion exit this year. Cash, money, which was nice. And so a lot of my work, I scaled that team from 0 to 40 people in under a year, right? So I went through kind of the most rapid growth that you can go through in a Silicon Valley-based startup, right? So I've seen it from that side. And now at this point at Skaled, we've worked with hundreds of startups. We work with a lot of growth stage company. LinkedIn's a large current client of ours. Our customers now have raised, our partners have raised almost $600 million to date, not counting like publicly traded companies. So we've done this a lot. We have about 22 people, as I said before, based in New York and Austin. So we've really seen this from really every imaginable angle, from two dudes in a dream to business plan to, okay, now we're starting to scale, right? And I can tell all of you, the people that win are the people that are here for the grit, right? And what I mean by that is like, if you're not thinking every single day about your business, you're not going to win. If you're not a CEO who's here, I love seeing CEOs here, people at the business plan phase who are here, because if you're not thinking about the commercialization strategy somewhat early, you're going to start to build a Frankenstein. You're going to start to build a product for people that may or may not care about what you're doing. So again, our clients right now, we have, 16 consultants, 25 active projects. So again, we can talk to you about how to get there, right? Please share, follow me on LinkedIn in particular. I'm very active on LinkedIn. talking a lot about entrepreneurship, talking a lot about scaling, talking a lot about scaling your sales and marketing efforts, getting more and more active on Facebook and Instagram. We're going to be using this hashtag today. If you guys have questions, our social media team, hashtag ScaleUpCB. We'll have people there ready to answer questions as you have them. Hopefully they're appropriate questions. You guys look like an appropriate bunch, right? It's not like a few hundred. We talked about what you want to get out of today, all right, which is good. So let me just hop into some of the buyer and seller preferences. And these are some of the trends that we're seeing across industries. So our clients literally work in every like weird nook and cranny, from logistics, transportation, to healthcare tech, to fintech, to social media, to marketing. So we've seen these plays from a lot of different folks. So we've seen this from a lot of different angles. So one of the big trends that we're seeing is that buyers are more informed than ever, right? And so that means many times when buyers are coming to you, even if you do outbound, they have some information or some idea of like what you do. Especially if they come inbound, then they may be already doing research on you as well too, right? So if I'm actively looking for some type of ocean listening device, I probably am going to Google ocean listening devices, right? And then see where you come up, and I'm going to look at the other three. For those of you, how many of you have like a pure SaaS product? How many is like pure SaaS software? Security is pure SaaS. What about you guys? The analytics? No? Hardware, software. Okay. Okay. All right. Where you're charging both for the hardware and the software. Okay. All right. More and more, we're seeing rises. For those of you who sell software, there's a website called G2 Crowd. How many of you have heard of G2 Crowd before? Yep. Any of you in the B2B space, G2 Crowd is like the Glassdoor for software, or the Yelp for software, right? They grew their website by almost like 15 million reviews over the last 2 years, right? If you don't think that this is what people are going to do in the future, before I go and do outreach, is go and Google you and find out what you do, or voice. I'll talk a little bit about voice and the kind of the decline of search like in the future. But again, they're active on social channels as well too, right? I think a lot of companies in the early stages, and this is for you marketers, they look at social as a throwaway. Like, I'm just doing social media because like I was told to do social media, whereas now more and more companies are interacting with companies via social. And finally, people don't like to feel sold to, right? Nobody likes, if you think about like the problem that a lot of product people and a lot of engineering people in particular have with sales people is that they have this kind of mindset of like used car salesperson, right? Like, I think everyone, when you say the word salesperson, the person that comes to mind is this person who's like, hey, Mark, how are you today? You know, like, hey, what's going on? And that's just not what it is. Like, a good salesperson is actually a guide. I'm going to help to guide you through the process. Now, granted, I'm going to have a very particular way that I'd like to guide you through to the path of buying, but I'm also not going to try to like shove it down your throat, because that just doesn't work. Buyers aren't into like as many like steak dinners. They want value. Like, I don't have time. Like, look, you're the CEO of a company. Like, he doesn't have time to go golfing or go out and like go to a steak dinner. He wants somebody who's going to add value to his business, who's going to help, with a go-to-market strategy or some other new software. And so I think a lot of people, when they're building out their sales orgs, they think, a lot of times we think of sales as this like, I don't know, salesy stuff, right? As opposed to them being a guide. But buyers don't want it, right? Buyers don't want that type of sales attitude. All right, so for those of you who've been in sales, what have been some of the trends that you've seen? So a few of you have managed sales teams or have managed marketing teams. What are some of the trends that you've seen in buyer behavior? Awesome, great. Yeah. More discerning. That's right, because they have choices. Guess what? In a room like this, in every other city, same thing's happening. The same government grants in every other city in Canada, same thing, same room of entrepreneurs. They can be more discerning because there's more choices, right? And especially as you start to move up market, then you're competing against US companies, European companies, etc. And the best product does not always win. I want to be super, super, super clear. Rarely does the best product win. It's a combination of really, really, really good product and really amazing go-to-market strategy, right? Yeah? Less money? Bullshit. Bullshit. They've got more money than ever. Have you seen the stock market? Crushing right now. You know what I mean? They have money, they just don't want to give it to you. Expectations are high for sure. But I hear what you're saying. I understand what you're saying about the less money. You're right, expectations are higher. We just expect a certain level of like self-serve or white glove. Even if I'm only spending like $80 a month with you or $200 a month, I still expect to be treated a certain level, right? So again, we're seeing a lot of this trends. Buyers' expectations are going up. They're more discerning, right? They're more cautious, or they have more options so they can choose to spend in more places, you know? And so again, they don't have to spend with you. Like that's the difference between an idea and a business, right? A business is I'm willing to actually spend the money with you versus an idea is like a wonderful thought that you might have had. So this is from Forrester this year. 74% of B2B buyers report researching at least half of their work purchases, right? So most people are doing some research, right? What's half of 74%? What is that, 50% or something? I don't know. But again, what this just shows you, this trend is just rising. It used to be that sales' main job was like, you got a chance to get like the first crack at education, like because I kind of knew what I wanted or I heard about your product, and so I got a chance to kind of shape the market for you. Now they're doing more research because it exists. It didn't exist. I couldn't do research on B2B companies not too long ago. So the other thing is that more and more people, again, how many of you are on LinkedIn? Right, how many of you are active on LinkedIn? Somewhat? Somewhat? All right, every day, every other day. If you sell in the B2B space, look, LinkedIn isn't for every industry. Like I'm gonna tell you flat out, like the key is where do your people live, right? And I'm gonna talk a lot about that actually tomorrow, about how you need to be where your people live. But for a lot of your industries, they're on LinkedIn, right? You can tell really quickly. I'll go through it a little bit more tomorrow and actually tonight. But again, they are engaging in social channels, right? Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, right? A lot of people don't think about it. I'm going to talk about it later with Instagram and Facebook for Business. But it's a thing, right? If you think about where all the ad dollars are being spent now, there's almost $80 billion a year being spent on TV ads. Where do you think that money is going to go when OTT kills that business? Social media ads, right? Right now you can get Facebook CPMs, $6, $9. I can target very specific geos, keywords. I'm going to go on a massive tangent about this later, but so really when we think about building a sales machine and we think about this modern sales org, there's really these three components. There's sales technology, there's process, and there's people, right? I have to have a process in place to guide my buyer from point A to point B. I have to have people to execute that process, and then technology to augment the people. And I think for a lot of companies, I'd say the one trend I've seen over and over again coming back here is that not enough of you are investing in sales technology. You continue to try to brute force it, cold call, cold call, cold call. You're not using enough sales technology. I'll talk a lot about like different technologies that you guys can consider and think about. But again, why do it? Like why not have a dialer? Why not have something to go and source leads for you? How many of you are familiar with Upwork? A few of you, right? How many of you guys use Upwork in the business? A few of you, okay. For lead gen or for lead sourcing? List building, great. List building, is that what you guys use it for? Yeah, it's called leverage, right? There's people in Eastern Europe and the Philippines that will go and help you build lists for $3 to $4 an hour. Why the heck would I pay someone in Cape Breton a lot more than that to go and build a list of people, right? There's technology hacks, there's people hacks, so we'll try to talk about how to use technology, how to use people to do that. So again, you have to have like this right mix. If you have too much technology, people won't use it, right? If I'm just throwing a bunch of sales technology at you, people won't use it, or it'll be too automated. So we're gonna try to talk about some of the sweet spots here. Okay, so what are some of the trends in the actual sales process? So how many of you are executives or manage people? How many people manage people? Okay, great. How many sales emails do you get on a daily basis? How many? 20? About the same, 20 a day? Bob? Right? These companies aren't huge. 20 emails a day. How many of you want to reach out to CEOs or VPs? They're getting 50, 60, 70 emails a week, right? We are getting crushed by email right now. It's not that email still isn't a channel. I'm going to talk a lot about how to actually use email more effectively, but you have to understand that like email as a channel is just getting crushed. And you guys are doing business in Canada. You guys have Castle. God forbid you like went across the border of the States. We don't have any of that. Right? We have no regulations. There's no GDPR, there's no Castle, right? We have email databases of people, right, that are illegal here, right? So I think a lot of people have to understand that like email is a tool, right? What happened is email became easier, right? I can hide behind my computer, send Pierre an email. I'm not picking up the phone. I'm not cold calling. So it became easier, right? So we're getting crushed on email. The most successful companies are using a blended approach, right? The number I heard of this company called Topo is they're using about 5 different types of touch point: direct mail, video, email, call, social, all a part of like one cadence to get a meeting with somebody, right? And guess what? You can only do that with technology. I can't remember to follow up with 50 or 60 or 70 people with all these different random touch points if I'm not using technology, right? So the interesting part, though, is we're seeing cold calling be much more effective now, right? Same people. So you get 20 emails. How many cold calls do you get a day? 1, 2? Nobody's picking up the phone. Yeah, how many? Couple a week. This is a guy who said he gets 20 emails a day, gets 2 cold calls a week. Did you go where the people aren't, right? Like cold calling, like we're seeing more and more of our clients, and even if I don't get him on the phone or get her on the phone, they know I'm not going away. It's like, oh, this number's called me. They referenced in the email that they left a message for me. Like, I mean, the worst case, at least maybe I'll respond to get them to like go away. And no is a perfectly fine answer. Huh? They get you on the phone, you're always going to respond. Yeah, exactly. Unless you're just going to like straight hang up on me, but I'd hope you wouldn't do that to me. So again, the key is personalization though, right? Not calling up with some generic pitch. Hey, this is Jake Dunlap from Skaled. How are you doing today? Right, we know that. We all get that visceral. When you hear that, you're like, great. You know, like you know it. Like I immediately just like tense up when I make that voice. I'm going to talk more about trends today. The other one that I think most of you need to be aware about around process is this concept of account-based marketing or account-based outreach. How many of you have heard of account-based marketing or account-based outreach? Okay, all right, good. So really what this symbolizes is that we got all these databases. We're now using Upworkers to build all these lists, that you should be narrowing your focus to a much more narrow set of accounts that are more likely to do business with you, right? A lot of early stage companies at the business plan phase or pre-market, you think that you're doing yourself a service by saying, my market is everyone who does this type of work and everyone who does this and this. It's like, no, it's not, dude. It's actually people who look like this, who look like this, who look like this. Over time, yes, I know that you can sell to every single oil and gas company, but today you can't. Like you can't take down Exxon. Like you can take down these types, so they need to be a regional player, under 1,000 employees in this subcategory of oil and gas. Those are the people that are actually going to be the most likely to buy. So instead, we're going to kind of circle the wagons on those people and reach out to 4 or 5 people at those companies, as opposed to reaching out at 5 people at 5 different companies. I'm going to do a whole section tomorrow about account-based outreach, but this is the future. Even if you're doing mid-market sales, you know, if you're selling a product that's maybe $20,000 a year or something like that, like more and more clients are using account-based. You can still do some more bulk customized stuff that I'll talk about, but having a more targeted approach. Like for you at ProtoCase, right? You haven't ever done outbound before. Instead, you have enough customers. I can go and do some basic look-alike modeling and say, wow, actually our customers look like this, 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 right? As opposed to like everybody in a certain vertical. So this is a big shift that we're seeing, is that as email death is kind of going out there, and we have to be more targeted in our approach, right? So this is just a really important trend. I'm going to go really deep on this for you all tomorrow and talk a lot about. I'm going to give you guys basically the playbook for how to do account-based tomorrow that we've implemented for tens of companies. Social selling is a real thing. So again, social selling is not connecting with me and then sending me a message the next day about your outsourced web development firm, or about how you're going to generate leads for me, right? I'm sure as a CEO, he probably gets these messages too. Social selling is about interacting with people, right? Can I follow? Can I comment? Can I share? Can I build some type of relationship over the course of a couple of weeks? And then maybe come in with a thoughtful ask, right? So more and more of our clients are using LinkedIn and other social channels as a way to interact and build some type of like social capital, as opposed to just emails and calls. And the data says that it works, right? As a part of the process. How many of you are using LinkedIn today in like your outreach or your prospecting? Yeah, good. Any success stories or any non-success stories? Hasn't worked? Early? Okay. Anyone else? Have used it? Had some success? Sandra? Some bites? Yeah, I think the key is like, it's not about the direct call to action. Social is a way to just create more value from a touch point standpoint. So it's not always going to get you like that direct CTA, that call to action, but many times social can help to build the relationship, you know? All right, the last trend that I'll talk about here is consensus, right? Gartner did this is a couple years old now. But in the average company with 100 to 500 people, not a big company, 7 people are involved in the buying decision. And whenever we go and we work with companies, 99% of you are talking to 1, maybe 2 people. And you wonder, oh, why did my deal stall? Oh, they said no, they went dark. Like you probably weren't talking to like all of the right people. And so as we talk tomorrow in particular about building a modern sales process, you have to have a process that allows you to bring more people to the table as opposed to just trying to work with one person who's going to try to get you over the hump, right? I'm sure all of you have had this happen in your sales career. Oh, God, John Smith was the man, and then he went dark on me. It happens, right? So these are the trends: transparency, more custom outreach, social, and consensus building, right? So these are the big things that, again, you have to assume that your buyer is going to have access to information. You have to assume that you're going to have to do some amount of personalization in your outreach. Personalization is like, oh, you went to McGill? I went to McGill too. That's not personalization. I didn't go to McGill, by the way, but great school. Social media is involved, and then we have to try to help companies build consensus within their own organization. I'm going to talk a lot about that tomorrow. All right, sales tech. All right, so this is a slide I think that a lot of you will get a lot out of, and we can talk through it. So I just wanted to pull this up. I just thought that this is like a really good stat. Let me see if this thing has like a sweet laser pointer. No, I don't think it does. Okay, so this is just to think about like how the metrics work out. Like if I can save a rep, right, with $1 million quota, let's say a rep has $1 million quota. If I can save them a half hour every day, basically with sales tech, that means I can net out $24,000 per week, right? So efficiency of your team is just as important, and we're going to talk a lot about effectiveness, but I think a lot of people just don't spend enough time really thinking about, we always look at sales technology as a money pit. Oh, these guys, sales guys want some more tech, or marketing team wants, it's like, no, I'm going to make them more efficient. Why am I paying someone $60,000 a year to go and find leads? It's insane, right? Why am I paying? I'm paying someone to send a bulk email that has no custom field, $60,000. It's insanity, right? Instead, it's how can I use technology to increase the efficiency of the team, you know? And again, I think it's because sales has always had this like grit about it. I think salespeople bring it on themselves too. I think a lot of salespeople are like, oh, I'm going to put this on my back. Whereas like modern salespeople are like, I'm just going to go leverage technology and have it do like 80% of my job for me, right? It's just that sales is becoming more and more of that. You still have to have the hustle and the grit, but also more and more of the salespeople that we're trying to hire, they're smart as f***. Like these people aren't, like I'm not hiring the like 22-year-old, the old prototype is I want a 22-year-old lacrosse player, or like whatever your, like the equivalent is here of lacrosse. 22-year-old lax bro who goes out, he's aggressive, he pounds the phones, hammered on happy hour. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? So, but my point is like that's not kind of the DNA we're looking for now. Like I need someone who can talk about value. I need someone who can talk about like benefit compared to other people, and that's usually not that person. Now there is a type of sale for that, transactional, where it's about grit, hustle. Come on, man, let's do this. You know, like I still need a little bit more of that. Like I'm just going to run into the same wall over and over and over and over, as opposed to like, oh, there's a door here, or there's like a rope that I could climb over. So just some more stats around tech. You know, again, I'm going to show you all a slide next about the amount of just sales technology, not marketing. Right now, I think there's like 3,400 different marketing technologies that exist, and sales is catching up really quickly, right? Some of the things I think are more important here, again, the high-growth sales team have about 5 sales different technologies that their team's using. So the team's using about 5. That includes the CRM and other things. Again, the reason that many times sales technologies don't work is after you've done enough demos, you're like, F it, let's just do that one. You're like, you guys, you know what I mean? You're like, all right, yeah, that one's good enough. You sit through 3 or 4. We as humans, we suck with this decision fatigue. It's just a human nature thing. We can't help it. But again, this is a report from Salesforce, but sales team that use technology are 3 times more likely to be a high-performing team, right? Because they're getting more out of less. And guess what? Like, everyone else sitting in some other room is using these technologies, right? And that's why, let me find this slide. This is from this year. So these are all the different, these are sales-specific technologies, not marketing technologies, not communications technologies, sales and customer success technologies. There's over 1,000 now, right? And so if you are barely using a CRM, right, and maybe one other people are using at least 5 to 6 of these, right? And it's just really important to think about this. Like, stop trying to brute force it. It's old school. You know, are you guys still, I mean, for those of you who are engineers, you guys still coding in BASIC? Zeros and ones? Fuck, no, come on. Like, no, there's like new technologies, right? Like, not like the Ruby on Rails guys, you know, they're not strong enough. But, so anyway, I just want to show you that because it's really important. I want all of you to think about, like, this is just what it is. Like, it's not really like optional to like build a sales org without sales tech, or like why? Like why make your salespeople go through a bunch of like unnecessary hurdles when you could, technology is cheaper than extra humans. So, all right, so what technologies are we using today? All right, and I'm going to go through this in a few categories. First, CRMs. How many people, well, I'll just say it. It's customer relationship management, in case for all of you who do not have a CRM, and hopefully will have a CRM at some point. What CRMs are we using today? HubSpot? Base? What else? Zoho? HubSpot, Base, Zoho. What? Salesforce. Third? Fourth? Salesforce is fourth? Come on. Oh my God, really? God bless you. That's a beast. What else? These are kind of like a lot of the usual suspects. Excel? Hey, dude, look, man, I'm all right. Of course, the CEO is Excel. No, he has to have his reports delivered to him in Excel because he can't look at the Salesforce dashboard. Anything else? Interaction. I don't know that one. Sugar? Sugar's another one. Are you guys actually using Sugar? No, but you just have heard of it? Okay. No, it's like, it makes the list. Sugar makes the list. It's like a top. Okay, how many of you have clients and have a revenue and are not using a CRM? Come on, be proud. There's got to be, all right. There we go, yeah. That's all right. We'll get you there, right? So the reason that this stuff is so important, again, I'm going to talk a lot about a CRM system, is it's just the backbone of everything. It just helps to, a lot of times we fail to implement sales technology because we're scared of the lift. It's going to take a lot of time to get set up, but just the efficiency gains, I'm going to talk a lot about those. What other sales technologies are we using? So these are our CRMs. What else are we using? Quote generator. Is that like a proposal? Like a DocuSign type thing? Yeah, kind of like catalog of stuff, and then easy to make a quote, takes 2 minutes. DocuSign, like an electronic signature? No, like so like makes my quote, so I have US and Canadian. Yep. It's called PandaDocs. Yeah, PandaDocs, yeah. Yeah. What else? AdWords. What? AdWords. Using Google AdWords? Well, yeah, of course, that's good. What is the sales team using? HubSpot, what are they using HubSpot for sales? Are they doing cadencing or sequencing? Are they doing automations or are they doing sequences? I'm gonna, all right. So I'm just gonna call this, most people are definitely using like the HubSpot marketing automation. Some people are using like this HubSpot for sales, which is a way to build out more customized sequences. I'll talk about that. For HubSpot for sales? Okay. That's good. It's like a good HubSpot. For those of you who don't know HubSpot, HubSpot is built like a perfectly okay everything. Like the CRM is okay. The marketing automation tool is okay. The sales sequencing tool is okay, right? And it's like not that expensive, especially for startups, and a lot of places get different discounts. You can get like a whole HubSpot suite for not a ton of money. But it's not really best in class in any of those things. So you all come over to the dark. I'll talk about the dark side here in a little bit. Exactly. You all come to Salesforce eventually. You have to. Yeah. Yeah, it's too much. Exactly. If you don't take the time to invest in it, and then in 5 years you'll come back. Somebody will actually say, yes, I'm willing to spend. Look, you have a big enough team. I'm going to spend $150,000 to get it implemented correctly, and then the thing will just fucking run. You know, that's the big problem is we go out and make a big investment in something like Salesforce, and then we're like, and I've got to go pay some consultant XYZ to make it work? Like, nah. It's like, no, it's efficiency. Like, you're doing this to make the whole machine work. But a lot of people do that. A lot of companies that are early stage, Salesforce is too much, right? And that's where, like, which one do you use? Zoho? Soho? Yeah. Yep. 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 Yeah, Zoho has started to build out a very similar suite to HubSpot. So they're both really good small business options, for sure. What else? What other sales tools? What about you guys at CrunchBase? Okay, CrunchBase. So you guys have licenses to source companies? Okay. So we'll call that data. What was the other one? Nimble. What does Nimble do? Email, it grabs emails? Yeah. Okay. So then your Upwork team does a lead enrichment? Yeah, we don't use Upwork. Okay. Okay. You got a guy? Yeah. Okay. I'm going to put human. Human really isn't a technology, but I get it. I just want to call out what he's talking about that they're doing. Right? What he's talking about what they're doing is they have a tool called Nimble. Well, they use CrunchBase to narrow in on the companies they want to focus on. They then use Nimble to say, these are the people I want to focus on. And then they have a guy who goes and enriches the data. I want their LinkedIn profile, they're this, they're this, they're this, they're this. And then every single day when that sales team comes in, guess what they're doing? Fucking working. As opposed to sourcing the email address, finding the companies, going and doing this. Like, I'm sure you're still doing a little bit of that manually. But once the machine starts to work, that's what it is, right? And then are you guys using any type of like email sequencing tool too? Like you're using HubSpot? Okay. So got a couple of votes for HubSpot up here. HubSpot for sales, good. Any other technologies? Google Analytics. Do you feed that to the sales team? Okay. Does Google Analytics integrate with HubSpot? Does it? Yeah. What other tools? What about marketing automation tools? Is your marketing team using any type of marketing automation tools? Marketo, Pardot, Eloqua, HubSpot? Well, yeah, I mean, if you're going to use one, you should use the whole suite. Okay, all right. So I'm going to talk a little bit about marketing automation tools too. Okay, so you guys are at like 2, maybe. Are you guys using any type of like email signature? No, like HelloSign, DocuSign, EchoSign? Yeah. What are you using? HelloSign? Or do you guys use anything? No. HelloSign's a really good, lightweight document signature platform. Cheap, like $5, $10 a month, something like that. And they give you like 5 free a month, so if you have a big enterprise, you don't even have to do it. What are the rest of you guys doing? Sending PDFs? Like, what are you, how are you getting signatures? Seriously? Damn. Guys, you should all be using an e-signature platform, right? There's nothing worse. Like, I had a vendor, like, I almost canceled the contract. It's like $15,000. I'm like, dude, you have to send this to me electronically. Like, I'm on the road, I'm traveling. Dude, I have to print this out, sign it, take a picture, and then email it? Like, come on, man. Like, so I'm going to talk about some other ones that you all should be using too. But yeah, e-signature is really lightweight. Just upload the PDF to it. You do the work so I don't have to. And then hit send as a part of it. I appreciate your buyer, your customers will appreciate it. I promise you. Make me print out. Okay, more and more tools. I want you guys. What about webinars, GoToMeetings? Are you guys using GoToMeeting, Zoom? What do you GoToWebinar, Zoom? Anybody else? Uber Conference. GoToMeeting. Okay. Join.me. Yeah, that's fine. Join.me. They actually bought GoToMeeting. to webinar. Yeah, Zoom has kind of entered relatively quickly. They're really flexible in their contracts. I think why a lot of people like Zoom. This space to me is one of the most interesting space. The like video conferencing. It's like everyone hates their video conferencing. Like you've never met anyone who's like, I love Zoom or I love this. Exactly. And usually what it is like your internet sucks. It's not their fault, but like, or the person's internet sucks. Do you guys use anything? No? You use Zoom? Okay. How many teams use Slack? Come on. All right, there we go. There we go, Slack. I like it. All right, so we got a few people using Zoom. How many of you, whenever you do meetings, do you do video or just audio? Depends. Audio primarily? Mostly audio? What about you guys? Okay. All right. Yeah, I would highly recommend you guys go video whenever you can. There's a ton of data that talks about the close percentage between like a video call. GoToMeeting actually has put out a whole bunch of white papers about this, about whenever you have your video up versus not. Because it's kind of the next best thing to being in person, right? So highly recommend that if you have Zoom, if you have all of those have it, use the video when you can. You know, it helps to build that person. And guess what? I can see if you're typing on your email. I can see, if I'm just doing audio, I know you're on email. I can hear the keyboard clacking. You know what I mean? If it's on a video, I can see it. I can be like, hey, John, are you still there? Oh, yeah, sorry. Right? Okay, so I'm going to talk about like the core. So if you guys are going to start to take pictures, you're going to write anything down, if you're going to pay attention, I promise we're going to take a break in like 15 minutes after this. Okay, this is one of the most important pieces I'm going to talk about over the next 2 days, which is what does a core sales stack look like? Okay, this to me is literally table stakes. I'll talk about, maybe there's a couple of these that you don't have to have, especially if your website traffic sucks, which is cool, like it happens, don't worry about it. First is CRM, so why integrate the system, sorry. The more these systems are talking to each other, the more that they're integrated, the more that I can have the machines doing more and more personalization on my behalf. And again, companies that use sales technologies win. Right? Integrating systems is really, really important. More and more your buyers want to integrate. So if my systems are talking to each other, then I don't have to manually input a bunch of things. I can just pull it straight from Salesforce, right? As opposed to, oh, I got to go log into this system, then I got to go log into this system, etc. Nobody mentioned Pipedrive. We have a lot of small businesses that use Pipedrive. Have any of you heard of it before? Yeah, if you're like a one-man shop or two-man shop and you're building a business plan and trying to keep basic track of opportunities, I highly recommend Pipedrive. It's got a really good visual UI of like the opportunity stages, and it's super cheap, and they go month to month. Like it's a good lightweight CRM. CRM, central nervous system. All of your customer data should live there. I'd argue most of you should be feeding all of your product data in there as well too. So then again, if I want to go and run queries or do other things, I can do that. I'm really surprised nobody's using Salesforce. Is it just cost? Time? The reason that so many people go to Salesforce, I'm not on Salesforce's payroll, I don't make a referral fee if you sign up for Salesforce, I have no skin in the game with Salesforce. We try to push all of our customers there, is the ecosystem. Everything that plugs into Salesforce. Like if you guys remember, like there's a cartoon called Voltron, or like the Transformers. They brought Voltron back, I saw on Netflix, which is cool. But if you form all of this together, it destroys everything else. If you have a best-in-class marketing automation tool, a best-in-class sequencing tool, a best-in-class data visualization tool, and Salesforce, like it's going to destroy any of this other stuff. But there's a time and a place, right? So like the fact that a lot of you are at HubSpot makes a ton of sense. Exactly what she just echoed is what 90+% of companies do. We ended up going to Salesforce because we needed better reporting. Right? Because needs, and again, I would say the reason that most people don't invest in Salesforce unless you're ready to invest in a consultant to implement it with you. That's my number one piece of advice. Pay someone the $10,000 or whatever they're going to charge you, $15,000 to just set it up for you, right? Somebody that you trust and know. There's a lot of bad Salesforce consultants too, but so CRM, a lot of you are using those. The next is lead sourcing. Okay, I'm just going to talk about a few of these. He talked about Nimble, there's like Get Email, there's like some other ones. Zoom Info, again, and how many of you do business in the States? How many of you? or want to do business in the States? Okay, so here's what I think this is something a lot of Canadian companies struggle with, European companies too. We have no laws. We have massive databases of people and email addresses and phone numbers. Castle doesn't exist. We don't have Castle. You can do whatever you want, right? So in the States, we have massive databases of all your information. Everything that I want to know about you, there's an email, a phone number, it'll aggregate news about you, everything. So ZoomInfo is a really good kind of like bulk database, and it's been getting a lot better over the years too. So if you're looking for general SMB to enterprise information, they aggregate a lot of news sites as well too. Because again, eventually as you guys like security, as you guys get bigger, this like hack is like cute now, like it's good. This is, by the way, all of you should be aspiring to do what they're doing. Every single one of you should be doing exactly what they're doing until you then just say, F it, we're gonna go spend $25,000 on one of these tools and eliminate the whole Turk, right? Because ZoomInfo will have a lot of this information for you. Discover.org is the most expensive one. This company has exploded. They just raised $100 million in like March. It's one of the coolest business models because it's so old school. Basically, they've got like 100+ people in Vancouver, Washington, which is just across from Portland, cold calling and just doing phone trees all day long. Hey, what's going on, PermJot? Hey, my name's Jake Dunlap. I'm with Discover.org. You're the controller at XYZ, right? No, that's Ben Henderson. Oh, Ben, and what's your role? Oh, you're the director of finance. Oh, okay, great. Could you transfer me to Ben Henderson? What's his extension? 321. Great. Ben Henderson, controller, direct dial, PermJot, direct dial. Hey, Ben Henderson, Jake Dunlap, Discover. I apologize. I'm trying to get to your accounts payable. Is that Tammy Lindell? Yep, that's Tammy. Great. What's her extension? 577. Tammy Lindell, 517. Hundreds of people doing this every day. Right? The best, cleanest database that exists in all existence, Discover.org. Right? Why? Manually vetted. Direct dial information. And they aggregate a whole bunch of publicly available information. So they also aggregate a site called HGData, which basically just scrapes all your websites to tell you the tracking codes on the website. So if I know that I usually sell into people that are running Oracle or something, or running like BlueKai or some competitive software, I can go and say, I want companies who have BlueKai tags on their site and look like this, and this company size, and this job title, etc. So yeah, that's a common one, right? Discover.org just started also integrating, there's another tool called Bombara. Again, you guys we have no cookie, we have no privacy. So a lot of this stuff might feel very big brother to you, but it's like, this is just what it is. So Bombara, what it does, they have their tags on like 35,000 websites, plus by doing reverse IP lookups, I have a pretty good idea of everyone who comes from IBM. Like I know where IBM is located, I eventually know what those IP addresses look like. So therefore, I can tell you when people from IBM are researching very certain topics as well too, because I have the data from the publishers as well. So I know the articles that people from those IP addresses visited. So then as I'm building my target account list, I'm just gonna go and look at the companies that are researching the keywords that I care about, and then build a target list off of that. So this is what people are doing to target accounts now. It's not like I sell to everyone in finance. It's I want people running these scripts, searching with this level of intent in these markets that are this size and that are these individuals, right? And again, I know that this is different than maybe some of the cookie laws that you all have. We have none of that. We have cookie madness, right? Like cookies everywhere. So, and again, and a lot of this, like for us, is just, this is table stakes. Like I hear, I'm like, yep, of course. Terminus is going to let you buy AdWords against, or like, there's other companies that can buy AdWords against companies. There's a bunch of different stuff you can do. So anyway, Lead Genius is a really, really good tool if you guys need custom data. What they have a hack team. They have like a big team in the Philippines and Eastern Europe. And they basically, for $1 or $2 per lead, you buy packages, and they'll do like that lead enrichment stuff that we were talking about those guys are doing. Lead Genius will just kind of do that in a package for you. Their direct dial data is okay. It's not great. Sales Navigator, if you're building any type of list, all of you guys should be investing in LinkedIn Sales Navigator, if that's where your audience lives. It's $55 a month. It's not a ton of money. Lead IQ, this is another one. It's relatively low. I'd say for all of you, especially early stage, I'd check out Lead IQ. It's just not it's not super cost prohibitive, and I can build lists in LinkedIn Sales Navigator, and then it's a Chrome extension that will then do a reverse lookup on the people that are in that list that I built email address. So you can use Lead IQ with Sales Navigator to then do a reverse lookup. LinkedIn shuts down one of these companies like every 3 years. This is just the one this year that's still working. LinkedIn's not a big fan of this, as you can imagine, of you like scraping email addresses. Okay, sales engagement. This is the most important tool that any of you will write down or learn about, I promise you. Okay, a few of you are using HubSpot for sales, right? 2 of you. What a sales engagement platform allows you to do is create sequences of activities. Think of it like a workflow management tool. So I, as a person, I want to reach out to these 100 companies and these 3 people at those companies. I'm going to create a 15-touch cadence over 3 weeks that's like research stage 1, connect and share, comment on day 3, LinkedIn message day 5, email, call day 6, day 7, email day 9, call day 10, LinkedIn touch point day 12, etc. You can't remember to do that. I just put them in and the machine remembers. Right? And that's why HubSpot breaks too. HubSpot just isn't that good. It's like email, no calls. Well, now they can do calls. They have a dialer now. So again, as you're thinking about, as you guys are migrating to Salesforce, SalesLoft and Outreach are number 1 and 2. They also have a dialer too, so you can dial straight from the platform. And imagine I have 100 people at all these different stages and sequences. I just log into my SalesLoft dashboard, and I just work. Oh, John's in cadence number 3, step 2, and I just go through my list. I make my 25 calls, emails, LinkedIn, whatever that touch point is for the day. I just work the list out of SalesLoft. All of this integrates with Salesforce. Zen Prospect and SendBloom, why some people like those is they also have a lead database that they basically do reverse lookups on email addresses. So they're a little more turnkey. Their cadencing tools aren't as good as Outreach and SalesLoft, but they have contacts, so some people that's valuable. But every single one of you, after a CRM, if you are doing any type of inbound follow-up, current customer management, etc., have to invest in a sales engagement platform. Like, I cannot imagine trying to run a sales organization, even if I have 3 people, 2 people, without a sales engagement tool. So I'm going to stop here. Questions about what this tool does? Yes, Marie, thank you.
Salesforce can create similar kind of outreach without putting Outreach or SalesLoft in there? Can you still do like your task list and have your 1 call, 2nd email, 3rd call, something out?
Yeah, but why would you do it? You know what I mean? Like, because tasks, I would have to, like, after I do my first activity, I'd then create a new task that would say email 3 days later, and then I'd complete that task and do this as opposed to just run the whole machine out of there. So you just wouldn't do it. You could. Hypothetically, you could create tasks and complete tasks, but then I'd have to set up all those tasks for every single contact, brand new. Don't do it, please. Your team will just stop doing it. Teams hate Salesforce tasks, yeah.
So these tools, they do like the social integration with the workflow as well?
Yeah, so both Outreach and SalesLoft have partnerships with LinkedIn.
Okay.
So I can send a message straight from SalesLoft into LinkedIn. And it's an actual relationship with LinkedIn. Okay. So it's not like a hack.
So do you have to, is it like a direct mail or like?
Or in mail if you're not connected.
Mail, yeah.
Yeah, you can send it in mail too.
Cool.
Yeah. Again, if you guys have questions about these tools to me, again, are the most table stakes, especially you've got a team of 10. Even if I can't feed the data directly, you can BCC the data into your CRM. These are some of the most important ones. Video conferencing, we talked about this a little bit. Zoom and GoToMeeting. Join.me is good. It's a good tool too. We use Zoom. A lot of our clients use Zoom. Zoom is really flexible about going up and down in licenses. So if your team's growing, etc., I've found Zoom to be more flexible, fairly reliable. So we use Zoom quite a bit at Skaled. Okay, for those of you who have actual traffic to your website, it doesn't have to be totally huge. I'm just going to talk a little bit about how many of you have chat set up or any type of chat? Great, awesome, okay. All right, let's talk about chat. How many of you, what tools do you guys use for chat? Which tool? You use Olark? Olark? HubSpot. Love it. What about you guys? HubSpot? Cool, all right. All right, I'm going to talk about Drift. Okay, Drift is one of the fastest growing SaaS companies in the US. What Drift does is automated chatbot interactions coupled with human intervention. So what that means is you come to my site, Jake Dunlap pops up, hey, what can I help you with, right? You type in whatever it is, it then reads it and says, cool, tell me about your team size. 5 to 10, 20 to 50, 30 to whatever. Basically, with Drift, you just build out a whole bunch of decision trees. As soon as that person comes on your website, I can then alert the salesperson that that person, as long as they're in your database, is on the website as well too, and then sales can jump in and take over the chat. Again, a lot of this stuff might be because you just can't do this stuff in Canada, because we can cookie. As soon as I send you an email, if you send an email and you just open that email, I don't need you to do shit. I've immediately cookied your computer. As soon as you come and visit my website, Drift knows that because it's looking at your cookie in my database, and now I know that you're on the website, so I can come and jump into that chat. Or I can take you down a decision tree that once you've said you're at like, oh, our company is 100 to 500 people, boom, then a live person, as opposed to letting a chat bot kind of take you through the process. And more, like, there's certain industries, like your industry, Drift's not gonna be a good fit. Drift, what we found, Drift isn't a great fit for super niche technical industries or high velocity sales. Like you're getting like 3,000 inbound leads a month. Because like people at that point are like usually like at a high intent that they want to buy. But for most companies, yeah, it wouldn't probably be great for you, because if someone's come to your site, you want them to engage almost immediately. But for a vast majority of SaaS companies, security, 100% Drift would work for you guys, right? Because basically what it allows is the bot to interact to a certain point and then either like not interact with you. Okay, great, let me know if you need anything. Bye, keep looking, don't care, right? Or I already have your cookie, we've been doing outreach to you, now let me have a real salesperson hop on this. Right? And this is just where chat's going. I'm sure you guys, all of you have interacted with chat bots, whether you know it or not. And again, it's a better experience. Candidly, like I don't want to talk to you. Like I'd rather just be like, this is what I'm looking for, and it's a very low touch way to give a high value interaction. So Drift, Olark's also a good tool. Intercom, both of them are starting to adapt more AI and decision tree technology as well. But why not? Well, yeah, I'll talk a little bit. How many of you are familiar with Castle? I'm sorry. And again, by the way, I talk about this all the time. So if I'm using acronyms and you don't know what they are, chances are like the rest of these people don't know either. So just raise your hand and like, Jake, what is an SDR or whatever it is? Yes. Did you have one? No. You're like, you just said All right, that's good. I like it. Thanks, Mark. So Castle is like the Canadian anti-spam rule, right? CASLE. There's no T. And so basically, your government has protected its citizens from me getting access to your email without you giving it to me. So basically, in order for me to reach out to you via email in particular, I need to have permission from you to do so. The European Union, have you guys heard of GDPR? Is this something this is made a really big deal of? It was May 24th of this year. GDPR has a lot of similar themes. It's stronger, actually, in some other themes as well, too. But basically, Castle means you as Canadians, for those of you who are Canadians, cannot email another Canadian unless you have expressed, I've given you my email address. I am not a lawyer. This is on film. I am not a lawyer. This is my understanding of it, period. If you go, Bob, if you remind me, we did a whole ebook on GDPR, so I can forward out if any of you do business in Europe. We just did a whole big thing on like the impact of GDPR. So that's really it. You can email people in the States, but if they say stop, then you have to stop. GDPR, so for those of you who do any business in Europe, GDPR is like kind of a next level from that. It's like I have to be able to prove intent. I need a permission to be able to email you for sales-related things, and then separate permission to email you for marketing-related things. So it's just a much more stringent law. Cold calling is still kind of like, Like it's still like kind of up for grabs. Like cold calling is like less, there's like consumer protection laws, but B2B, like, again, I'm not a lawyer. Consult your legal counsel. I'm telling you our basic understanding of what we talk about. Yes, Kevin.
Can I email you and ask permission to send you an email?
I think legally, no. I think legally, no. If you attain my email from a list, you can't email me and ask me for permission at this time. Yeah. That's okay, a lawyer said that, not me. They should know her. LinkedIn, go at it. You know, like with a lot of our clients that are in business in Europe in particular, LinkedIn, I connect with you, I interact with a few posts. I say, hey, John, I saw you've been posting about this. I wanted to send you over a few details. Are you okay if I email you? I've got your email at jake@scaled. Cool. And if I say yes, boom, that's intent. Now you can email me. So it's a lot of times, like, we'll use LinkedIn to then capture the email address, ask for intent, ask, is this okay if I send you some stuff? To his point, like, I don't know, man. There's black, white, gray. You can kind of determine what level of where gray starts and bad begins. But no, that's what CASEL really stands for. Don't email other Canadian citizens unless you've given. Now, what used to be able to happen, they just did a reboot of CASEL last year, or like a year and a half ago. It used to be if your email address was publicly available, I could still email you. So like if you made your email available on LinkedIn, if you made your email available on Twitter, CASEL didn't actually used to protect that until literally like a year and a half ago. Now, just having my email up does not equal intent to outreach. US, have a day, right? Now, granted, if you send too many junk emails and you get blacklisted by a domain because you're spamming a domain, then your company's like, your domain is done, right? Like, getting blacklisted is like one of the worst things that could ever happen to your business, right? So even when you're emailing the US, like that's why tomorrow afternoon I'm gonna talk a lot about personalization. The last thing you ever want someone to do is mark spam. If enough people do that, you can wreck your entire domain, right? There's a whole bunch of things you can do to get around that. SendGrid is an IP mask tool. There's some other ones that you can use to get around it. So then it won't blacklist your domain. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about, any other questions about CASEL? The US, do whatever you want. In Canada, only email if you've received permission to email. Get permission via LinkedIn.
Jake, I'm going to email you the FAQ from the website.
Yes.
Can I get permission to do that?
Yes, you may. Jake at Scaled, not State Farm. Yeah.
So can somebody from the US email Canadian permission?
Technically, no. No. That's why, like, so ZoomInfo, a lot of those databases that I just showed you don't have Canadian information for that exact reason.
So with an email, how can you tell Canadian, US?
You can't. You can't tell, like, you can do whatever you want. I am not telling you to do whatever you want. I'm just saying you can do, like, if you have the email, it's up to you to hit send. I'm just saying CASEL says you shouldn't. And there are fines. GDPR is the first big, like, GDPR, the fines are like starting at like 200,000 to 2 million pounds, like, or euros. Like, it's real. Actually, UK passed a sister bill, which is like similar to it, but. So GDPR, actually emailing Europe right now is more of a pain in the ass than Canada. Because GDPR requires like expressed intent, technically even. So like to give you an example, if I meet you at a trade show, I give you my business card, you still need to get digital proof that I gave you the ability to email me. Technically, you know, you can go as far as you want. But GDPR is kind of a first that the states will pass something in the next couple of years, promise. The states will have some, I don't think it'll go as far as CASEL or GDPR, but the states right now, again, we can just do literally whatever we want for email. And it's just getting bad. Again, like you guys are getting 20 a day, you know? So that's why email's tough right now. Still should use it, but what else? Any other questions about that? You know, look, you're an early stage company. Like, I'm not gonna tell you to do it, but okay, call monitoring. So after you've kind of went through that core stack, CRM, lead sourcing tool, sales engagement tool. You only need this if you have any amount of website traffic, okay? Really, it's video conferencing, sales engagement, lead source, CRM. You guys have to have these. Like, to me, like, you can't expect the sales team to run at like any type of efficiency if you don't have those things. I feel like most companies now should use Drift or use Intercom or Olark if you're not. And the reason I like Drift too is like you don't have to engage with people who aren't qualified. The next is call monitoring. So again, like, how are your salespeople performing? Like, are they any good? So Gong, what we're seeing more and more now is like these tools both use AI to analyze call performance. So if I want to know when John Smith talked about budget, I want to know when John Smith talked about the competition, it'll just tell me when, and I'll just fast forward to minute 23. Right, so all these tools are using NLP to basically analyze like what's happening, the sentiment of the call, voice recognition on like what's actually being said, and then allowing you to be able to better manage your calls and your follow-ups. It's really, you really don't need this until you start to grow your sales team. Like once you have a sales team of 5, 10, 15, now's the time to probably start to invest in something like this, right? Because you want to coach. You need to be able to go and listen. How many of you, if you've been in sales, have listened to your cold calls before or listened to your sales calls? How many have listened to their own sales calls? Oh, all of you have to do it, man. You don't do it because you're scared. I know it. It's the most brutal, painful thing ever is to listen to yourself on the phone. It's the only way to get better, right? Unless relying on other people to give you feedback. So to me, this is kind of like the next tool. Once the team starts to grow, get a call monitoring so I know what my people are saying. I can help to course correct. Because I don't have time. A lot of times as a sales manager or as you're building or scaling a team, I might not have time to listen to every 45-minute phone call. But if I see that Susie Smith is consistently getting stuck talking about budget, I can go back and listen to her last 8 calls where she said the word budget, money, whatever, and I can go listen to 8 calls in 15 minutes of how she talked about budget. Oh, that's it. Say it like this next time. So they'll do call recording, and then they have AI. Exec Vision's another one, but they're good. SalesLoft, that sales engagement platform, they have a lightweight version of this built into the platform too. I think, yeah. They have like a lightweight version of call monitoring. Okay, predictive account selection. So then the next layer of tools is better predicting your accounts, right? I talked about this before. A big mistake that a lot of early stage companies make is they say, everyone is my target. Everyone who's in oil and gas, everyone who's a potential telecommunications, as opposed to once you have a certain number of customers, let the data tell you who your customers are. You are not smarter than the machine, I promise. You can't look at all the variables a machine can look at, right? If I say, here's a list of 100 companies, go find me 100 companies that look like this, your gut is going to get you like 50 of them, 60 of them, but there's a lot of other things. How many years have they been in business? All kinds of other things. So predictive account analysis basically help to say, hey, we're looking at your customers. This is what they look like. They're this size, they're government organizations, they're this. And it'll basically say, hey, here's the next 50. Because a lot of times, they might be in like a sister industry or somewhere that you might not even think. There's a lot of companies that you guys have never heard of, right? Other than like your known universe. So these predictive tools, EverString is a great one. DataFox is good. Ringlead is also good for lead enrichment. But they'll basically help you to better predict who's up next, right? Who should you be targeting next? All right, so let's talk about, these are like the next layer of tools. So some of these tools I mentioned are on there. Sendoso is a direct mail company, so they're a drop shipper. They have an integration with Amazon. So if in my cadence, step 2, I want to send you a coffee mug, I can just click a button in SalesLoft, and it'll drop ship from Sendoso's warehouse to you. So I order like all of my different things that I want to be able to send out or allow my team to send out, gift cards, whatever it is. Sendoso is the drop shipper for all of that stuff, and they mail it all out for me. Right? We're seeing a lot of companies go back to direct mail. Right? And the reason is, it's tough to cut through the noise. Cutting through the noise, direct mail can be a really good usage of that, right? Being able to send out different things that are relevant. Be smart about it. Don't expect because you're offering me a Google Home for me to take a meeting with you. Be smart about it, right? Don't just send me a $35 or whatever it is if I take a demo. And that's the other thing. Just give. Like I'll tell you, somebody did a promotion that pissed me off. It was like, you get a Google Home if you take a demo. It's like, man, you know what I mean? It's like, just give it. It's a Google Home. Those things are cheap. Don't give with some type of expectation. If that's what it takes for me to get on the phone with you, come on. I'm not going to be a good customer for you probably. I just want free stuff. If I have that much time in my day where I really care about, I don't know, what's a Google Home now? $45? $90? I'm not getting on the phone with 45 minutes for the hard sell for $90, and then I got to track you down for a Google Home. Just give away the Google Home. And then have it preloaded with an Alexa skill that says, as soon as I fire it up, well, I guess that would be my Amazon. Right? Have it preloaded with an Amazon skill that says, hey, if you want every week a new update from us, just enable this skill. That's cool. Right? Voices, I'm going to talk about voice actually coming up here, but voice is going to be huge. Right? I don't want to go on too much of a tangent on voice, but it's going to be massive. It's going to disrupt a lot of the way that we do things. But Sendoso is really good for shipping. If you want to do direct mail, you don't want to have all that stuff come to your office. Use Sendoso. Terminus lets me buy targeted ads via reverse IP lookups. So again, it goes back to that use case of, I know that IBM is a potential customer of mine. I can go and pick IBM's marketing department, because guess what? Everyone at IBM's marketing department has a very similar IP address string. Every single one. I can now go target against these companies' marketing departments and go run ads against them all over the web. And now I can run LinkedIn ads against them too. So I can say, these are the groups of people I'm going after. I want you to buy ads and buy LinkedIn ads against those people. Cool. Right? And all of you guys have been retargeted. Retargeting is a firm or something, hopefully, I hope we're all familiar with retargeting. Retargeting is, I cookie your computer, I follow you around the internet. It's why you see the same ad for that shirt you bought 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks later, because the cookie thinks that you still want to buy the shirt, right? The tracker. So again, we can track everything about you, right? Canadian citizens we're a little more cautious of. But these are just some like next level tools that again, more than anything, what I want to try to give you guys exposure to is like, this stuff exists. These companies have been around for like 3 years. This isn't like some startup with no money. Terminus just raised like 30 million, right? Sendoso just raised like 15 million. Like these aren't like, oh yeah, that'd be cool if, like this is just the game, like this is the game now. Like this is what it is. This is what companies are doing every day. Terminus just raised $30 million. Like you think this stuff's going away? Like it's not going, like this is the beginning of it. And I know for a lot of you are like, whoa, it's like, nope, Terminus has like 1,000 customers already. Like this is, and by the way, they're not like IBM's, nope, growth stage technology companies that have probably only raised 10, 15 millions themselves, right? So what I want to try to do when I show you guys these technologies is, it's not an option. Like this stuff isn't option, this is just how you're building a sales organization today. And if not, you're competing against every other company in the States that's using these tools. Like Outreach that I showed you, SalesLoft, they all have like 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 customers. Those companies are doing 25, 30, 40, 50 million revenue a year, right? These are real companies that are starting like in the very beginning of their scaling phase, right? BI tools. Do any of you have a BI tool? Do you have a business intelligence tool yet? Yeah, what do you guys use at Protocase? You use Tableau? Yeah. How many of you are familiar with Tableau? Know what Tableau is, kind of? Tableau is a data visualization tool. It's going to be overkill for a lot of you, but if you need a lot of different types of info, it's like, basically you can feed all your information into it and it'll visualize your data across different data sources, Salesforce, your SQL database, or whatever database you guys use. So really easy ones that plug into Salesforce in particular are Insight Squared and Clary. Insight Squared, Salesforce reporting is okay out of the box. These will like ingest all the data and show you the reports that you want. Clary's got some really cool stuff that they just came out with that's account-based penetration. So I can look at all my accounts in Salesforce and I can see how many contacts we had, the last email interactions, what is the last meetings that were set up between these people. A lot of these companies are getting into predictive forecasting. Pretty soon, we're not going to let salespeople forecast. Salespeople all have rose-colored glasses. Oh, Jake, it's going to close. Oh, yeah, no, I'm talking to John Henderson. Oh, he's the man. He's gonna do this deal for me, right? In reality, like, no, I'm just gonna look at the data, and the data says that if we have consistent touch emails back and forth, because again, if this integrates with your Gmail, Clary integrates with your Gmail and Salesforce. I know every meeting that you booked. I know who was on that meeting. I know the amount and the volume of email interactions. I know the calls that you had if I'm routing my dialer through Salesforce. I know everything that's happening. That's why Salesforce is what it is. Like, these tools all connect. Then like I can start to kind of tell you, based on the patterns of deals that have closed, like this is at 75%. This guy hasn't emailed you back in 2 weeks. You haven't had a meeting accepted from John Henderson in 3 weeks. Are we really in this deal? Maybe. So again, more and more of these tools they're not just data visualization, they're starting to add in predictive layers. You're a data scientist. I'm not going to explain it. You can explain it probably better than I can. So then there's just integrating the tool. So I talked a little bit about this. I'm not going to go into too much detail here. But the reason that we have these tools is so the machines can do the work for us. And so I'm just going to give you an idea of like automations that you can do. So if I have a marketing automation tool, like a HubSpot, that's sending emails out, people then visit the website and visit a pricing page, right? For example, I can then have, let's say, I'll just use HubSpot. I can have HubSpot tell its sequencing tool to now put it in Jake Dunlap's name, and Jake starts aggressively following up with it. John Smith just interacts with an email newsletter, comes, visits pricing, HubSpot automatically kicks him into a SalesLoft cadence or a HubSpot cadence, and now I start following up with him. In marketing automation, like if you're a B2C player in particular, this is just more decision trees. It's like, cool, you came inbound based on what you look like from the data that I have about you. I put you in this more aggressive follow-up or this least aggressive. The machines can do all of this for you. The machine should be telling you who to follow up with. My reps shouldn't be deciding you follow up with Jane Doe or you follow up with Ryan Smith. Like, the machine should show me who's showing intent because I got them to come visit the website or do something, right? And so that's why these tools talking together, it's why I talk about Salesforce so much, is like, it can help. Right, Parmjot? This guy's gotten so up on his sales tech lately. I'm proud of him. Because this is it, guys. I just have to, I mean, again, I know probably up here you're like, holy, this is a lot of stuff. I hear you. I know it is. I promise it's not that complicated, right? Marketing automation tools, those nurture people, right? CRM, and then a sales engagement tool. These tools kind of work back and forth from nurture, 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 sales engagement tool, aggressive follow-up and engagement. That's how you have to think about like these tools. And again, I also bring up this technology because again, on the marketing, for those of you who are more B2C focused, I can do a lot more targeting. I can put you down like 85 different decision trees based on like micro interactions on the site. How long did you, if you spent 10 seconds on the pricing page and scrolled to this depth versus spent 2 seconds, I can put you in two completely different streams if you have a good marketing automation tool. And that's where, again, even as a B2C company, this is what your competitors are doing. Like if you like using Segment and some of these other tools, I can create a million. There's this one company that's out, growth stage startup, raised like 25 million. They're running 1 million different variations of website pages because the machines can just run them for you. I don't need a human. And yeah, you shouldn't be picking where the button goes. The machine should be picking where the button goes based on user behavior. You know, should the button go here, 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 here? Why are you deciding? Who are you? Let the machine auto-test where the button goes, and then, yep, guess what? The button should go right here. Like, this is the B2C world in particular. Every single website that you visit that's doing any type of B2C volume, all of that stuff's being, you're not seeing the same website as him, as her, as him, as him. You're all seeing different websites. You don't even know it because it looks native, et cetera. And this is just the world that we're going to. What's up? I'll talk about it a little bit. Yeah, I'll talk a little bit. Voice. I'm just going to talk for a few seconds here about voice. We're not quite there yet. How many of you guys have an Alexa or Google Home? How many of you are scared that the man is listening to you? Yeah, that's usually the reason, right? It's the same reason like you didn't used to enter your credit card into the internet, right? Like, oh, they're going to steal it. Guys, voice is where it's at. Like, the sooner that you learn how to use voice, like Salesforce has an Alexa skill that's great. Hey, Salesforce, update my opportunity account name XYZ to stage initial contact. You know how long that shit takes me to type? It's a pain in the I can literally update a Salesforce stage with an Alexa skill. Guess that's the future. That's all you're going to be doing. You know what I mean? So the more and more, like my 3-year-old orders his own pancakes. I tell him, I'm like, Landon, we're out of pancakes. I've got plenty of video. I'll bring a video for tomorrow. Walks over, Alexa, add pancakes to Amazon Fresh Cart. 3 years old, he started doing that. When he was 1.5, he tried to get Alexa to blow his nose for him. It's like, Alexa, blow my nose. But this is just it. And like, typing is such a pain, like, et cetera. I promise you, I want you guys to remember this moment. In 3 years, when none of you would ever wear AirPods. Now you're all wearing AirPods. Now fast forward 3 years when everyone's going, hey, Alexa, do this. Hey, what's up? And everyone is just talking, and you're like, man, all these people are mumbling to themselves. This is the future, right? And so therefore, a lot of this voice, like voice in particular, is going to make sales like, oh, it's going to be so great. Like I can be like, Alexa, go and prospect this person. You know, like we'll be there in like 5-10 years. But she's getting smarter and smarter and smarter because all of you are feeding the data. The man's not listening to you, despite what you think. But again, I just, you know, again, like I just want to talk about voice because it is really, really important. And it's a trend that's not there yet, but I promise you it's going to infect the way that you grow. It's going to really like infect the way that these sales teams are built because, again, voice just is faster. It's faster. And then the next step is the chip, right? 10, 15, maybe 15 years from now, we'll all have the chips. But voice is next. You laughed, but you all have the chip, right? Google Glass was our first taste of it. Wasn't that good? Yeah, I've talked about those guys a little bit. Okay. Okay, so that's sales tech. I'm going to go back for a sec. Okay. Okay. What questions can I answer about sales technology? For any of you who are at step 0 or have a question about your business specifically, let's get real specific, right? Like, who has a question about sales tech? Because out of all the things you can take away from me over the next day, this to me is one of the most important. So what questions do you have? Yeah.
What type of milestone are you looking, do you think is necessary to hit before you switch from something like HubSpot to a Salesforce? Like, what have you seen in there?
I think reporting, that the way that you're doing reporting, again, for like the CEO just becomes really, really manual, or the reporting that you need to do for your customers or to run the team starts to become a drag. You know, another one would be, like, once you have about 10 salespeople, you should already have made your first sales operations hire. Like, a sales operations hire, I'll talk about it actually here in a sec, is not a Salesforce admin. That's the other mistake that a lot of people, they think a sales ops person is a Salesforce admin. It is not. They're a person who understands how to make the sales organization more efficient, right? Salesforce happens to be a part of that, potentially, right? So I would say once you get to usually like 5 to 10 salespeople, you're having a sales operations person, you need more robust reporting. You've got 3 people in marketing, they're using HubSpot, they kind of hate it. You have 10 people in sales, they're using sequences, it's kind of broke. He's asking for reports, it's a pain in the butt to get the reports. Okay, it's time. You know, or 1 or 2 of those levers breaking, you know. But again, HubSpot is just doing a better job. Like, it's getting better and better at everything. All right, what else? Yeah.
If a company doesn't have the budget to purchase all 4 categories of sales technology,
Yep.
Is there a logical recommended order that you should follow?
Yeah, I mean, look, HubSpot, what are you guys paying for license for HubSpot?
About $1,200 a month.
How many people are on it?
12 to 15.
Okay, so about $100 per, and you're getting sequencing tool, right?
We're on the startup program, so we got a discount there.
Yep, all of you guys can get on that, by the way. It's cheap. So they're paying about $100 per person. They're getting a marketing automation tool, a sales sequencing tool, and a CRM. To me, the CRM is the most important. Salesforce is not that expensive. You guys can get the enterprise edition for like $100 a month. And if you look at those other tools that I mentioned, so I could build a pretty good stack. So Salesforce is, let's say I can get the enterprise edition for $100 a month. You could probably get a smaller Zoom Info license for 8 to 10 grand a year. DiscoverOrg is probably going to be closer to like 20 to 30. Outreach and SalesLoft are going to be between, you know, 100 to 150 a month. Zoom is like, how much is Zoom? Like 20 bucks, 30, that's maybe more, 40 bucks a month, something like that. So let's call it 40. And Drift is cheap. Drift is like 50 bucks, but that's for the company. So I mean, you can build a really good sales stack for about 500 bucks a person a month. And I know you're like, that's 6,000. Yeah, you can have kind of all of it. You know, if you have like 3 or 4 salespeople, you know, again, you're spending $6,000 a year per salesperson, but you're going to get more than $6,000 worth of value. Again, I think the problem with sales technology is we always used to look at it just as the CRM, just as Salesforce. I hate technology. We're kind of past that now. You know, so to me, the average company is spending $500 to $800 a month on sales tech. So to me, you have to have a CRM, you have to have a sequencing tool, and you have to find a way to get leads, right? And so you could do the hack, which would be Lead IQ and Sales Navigator, or like what these guys are doing, which is Nimble, like CrunchBase, which is like 40 bucks a month total, right? Nimble's cheap, right?
Yeah, it's like, there's the cheapest one we could find. We looked at Clearbit.
Clearbit's awesome.
Yeah, but Nimble's around 150 bucks a month. That's for like the enterprise version.
And that's for everybody. Yeah. So you need, that's what I think about. Do I have a place to store all the information and do my forecasting? Do I have a way to engage with people with a sales engagement type platform? And do I have a way to feed the machine quality information, contact details, et cetera? That's the core. And then again, obviously, you kind of need one of these tools to like have meetings. So that's, yeah, you can get away without this unless you do a decent amount of volume. But if you're a B2C site, yeah, you should definitely do one of these. And there's a few others that are B2C focused. All right, what else? So I think you can get a really good stack for $200, $300 a salesperson. What else?
What is it about Salesforce that makes it so much better than all the others?
It's the ecosystem that they have tens of thousands of apps that every single app that I've shown you, every single one of these integrates with Salesforce, does not integrate with HubSpot. Most of these. Some of them do. When you look at this world, like the amount that integrate with everyone else is like the top right corner. The amount of these that integrate with Salesforce is like every single one of them. So it's like anything that you want, the very first API that any company builds is Salesforce. So it's a lot of it is about the reporting in the ecosystem that you want to have, like PandaDoc. You guys use PandaDoc, for example. It integrates with Salesforce. Right? So you can do all of that quote to cash, everything, and now you can store all that data right in Salesforce, pass it to finance. Like, it's really the ecosystem and reporting.
Have you heard of Fishbowl?
Mm-mm.
It's just a new software we're looking into.
What do they do?
They do from production to quoting to work orders to everything. Just
Love it.
MRP.
Okay. Yeah, and I bet they integrate with Salesforce, maybe. Or they have their own thing. Okay, sales tech. Get excited. Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah, go for it, man.
So I know that the space that you operate in is typically B2B, but for B2C companies, is there a particular stack of technology that you recommend for them?
Yeah, it's the same stuff. It's the same concept. You need a CRM. You need a data enrichment. And so I was actually just talking to a few people about this. Like Constant Contact, Exact Target, MailChimp is like the catch-all one. But there's a whole bunch. I mean, if you want to go Movable Ink, right? The B2C, the big trend in B2C right now is hyper-personalized email interaction. So basically, it's dynamically populating an email template with your, like Movable Ink would be one to take a look at. And basically, I can dynamically populate, based on your customer data, targeted emails to you. So instead of you setting up all these different email segments as a B2C, again, the machine is like, oh, you've purchased 10 times this year, she's purchased 6 times this year, and as a female, they're going down like dramatically different paths. So more on the B2C, Emma is a really good small business one. If you sell to small businesses, Emma is the name of it. But that's the future. The future is AI. A lot of the emails that you get from Nordstrom's or Macy's or the Canadian equivalent, those are AI choosing which segment to send to you, as opposed to creating all these manual micro segments. So Emma is a really good small business one I'd take a look at. Constant Contact's kind of a staple. MailChimp's like the free one, but you can't do a lot with it unless you upgrade to it. Movable Ink is kind of like the next level retailer, the one that they use. And there's a whole bunch of these. Again, there's literally hundreds of these types of like email nurturing. Braze, B-R-A-Z-E is another one. And a lot of the name of that game too is augmenting third-party data into your purchasing behavior. So there's other third-party, I won't get into like DSPs, data service providers, that can help to augment your email newsletter list to do better targeting. It's just more automation is really a lot what it is. But those are the ones that I'd check out. And feel free to email me if you want more. I can give you guys more too. There's a lot more tech, right? But hopefully, again, I just want a lot of you to think about this. The cool part is, though, to kind of answer your question about like how much money to spend. But guess what? I could have 2 salespeople that I enable with technology as opposed to having 4 salespeople. So you're actually spending less money. You know, or 2 salespeople and a sales development rep. I'm going to get into that in a second. What is a sales development rep? That can do this as well too. All right. So how many of you have hired salespeople before? A few of you. All right. All right. What makes a good salesperson? Permjot, I'm going to ask you first. This guy's the legend. What goes into making a good salesperson?
Good listening skills.
Listener. Yeah.
Presence.
How do you define presence?
you want to get to know them.
Okay. What else?
Perseverance.
Perseverance. Yeah. Deal with getting gut punched.
Confidence.
Confidence.
Updating the CRM.
Update. Yeah. Yes. Exactly. Yeah. Lone wolves don't like to update the CRM. You know, they don't like. They're like, just leave me alone. Let me go do my own thing. But you're 100% right. What else? Coachable. Love it. Yeah.
Positive.
Positive, yes, you can't have that person. Especially for a lot of you who are just going through this first stages of scaling, you cannot afford negativity. I can tell you, I've just seen it so many times, especially for a lot of you who have had early success and you have that 1 star or that 2 stars, and if you are that star, stop it, right? Like, who suffocate the rest of the org because I know the way to do it, I did it this way, I need to build an army of soldiers who all do it in a somewhat similar way. Dude, you do you. If you're really good, that's great, but go in the corner and stop being negative and infecting these other people. I see it at companies your size all the time. It's one of the biggest reasons why you don't get to Series B or Series C, is that guy who put you on his back or that woman who got you to Series A, or maybe you had 2 of them, as you try to then grow and scale that person, that's not the scalable person. That person just likes to go out and like do stuff on their own. I need a positive environment for these people to be successful in. So I want all of you, as you're scaling your sales orgs, I want you to think about that. Like, and sometimes you got to fire them. It's one of the most difficult fires you'll ever make as a CEO or a head of sales, when you have to fire one of your top performers because they're negative. But you have to cut it out. You cannot grow a sales organization, you know, or you have that heart-to-heart. I get it, you're crushing it, I love you, I need you to sit in the corner and not talk to anybody. You know what I mean? Like, you do you can work from home 3 days a week, you know, whatever it is, do not talk to anybody, you know, in a much nicer way. Don't actually say it like that. But I'm telling you, as you're growing and scaling, positivity in those early days and this like, let's do it, let's get it. Like, no matter what is just, but so many of you will hire those types of people early on because they require less coaching. You'll be lazy and you'll hire those people because, and then once you scale, that person's going to be this like thing that you just keep hitting into. And then eventually you'll fire them because you have to. You'll finally just have enough of the attitude. I've been that guy. I've been fired for that reason. I told the boss to F off. I thought I could do whatever I want. Fired. You cannot. Okay, so let me just talk a little bit about other things. So this is really important. I think, you know, in Canada, it's not too dissimilar. When we work with a lot of European clients and a lot of South American clients, this is something they really struggle with. In like the US and in Canada too, like we're totally good over the phone, right? And more companies are moving toward an inside sales model. A lot of our clients are closing $50,000 deals, without ever meeting anybody. You know, you don't need to be in person to pitch, right? And I think that's it, you know, especially being out here, I'm sure a lot of you feel that way. Well, if I'm in you don't. I promise you. People are closing deals from all over the country, all over the world. You do not need to be in person, right? Now, granted, if it's a big deal, it's your first 20, I get it. But more and more companies are moving more and more inside. Because guess what? Your buyers don't care. I don't need another friend. I mean, you're my friend, but I don't need another friend in Cape Breton, right? I don't need another friend here in Cape Breton, or in Seattle. I need someone who's going to give value to my business. And that's what they care about, right? I don't care if you're in Cape Breton or Halifax or Toronto. I don't care where you are. Is your company going to add value to my business, right? And inside sales reps are just getting better, right? They don't sound like, remember I talked about like the lacrosse bro. No offense, if you guys played lacrosse, I'm sure you're all lovely people. We didn't really. Totally, it's okay, but not the first 1 or 2 calls. The first 1 or 2 calls do not need to be in person at all, ever. You know, don't get me wrong, not ever. There are some really outliers where sure, yeah, right? Or the cheese, my CEO is going to be in Houston, let's set up time to meet. Yeah, fine, right? But enterprise, yes, of course. Yeah, I'm totally fine with that. I'm totally fine with being in person. What I'm just saying is you don't need to be in person as much as you think you need to, and more companies are moving to an inside sales model. That's it. Yeah. Yeah, sales rep. Yeah, well, and not having to go out to the client office, right? It's different. Like, look, if you run in a local business, like, you know, like, I need to know my insurance guy, or, well, I don't know. I think I'd argue about that now too. Like, yeah, I'd rather have the better rate. But no, it's more about like, do they need to be going out in the field and traveling on site to make sales, or can they just do it inside? Yeah, we could talk about outsourced sales and what works and what doesn't. So, you know, one of you brought up sales interactions with others groups. I think it was one of the folks actually from Securacy. These are some things that we're seeing. Collaborative, meaning they work well together, right? We talked positive, they work well together. They know how to use technology. And again, like good salespeople now know that my job is to help to guide you through a process, not like get you over a hump or explain what my product does, right? You don't get, sales isn't just shouting more and more about what you do. It's like, I need to get you into like my process. Tomorrow afternoon, I'm going to talk a lot about what that process looks like. But these are a lot of the trends that we're seeing. This is from a study that we did with 88 decision makers, companies over 200 people. We did this back in January. These are what has proven most successful. These are senior level decision makers. Ability to communicate value is number 1. Industry knowledge 2. Energy and passion 3. I think a lot of people over-index on charisma. They over-index on, hey, it's the sales guy. And passion, don't get me wrong, you need it. But most leaders who have hired salespeople will tell you, like, I don't need the crazy person. I'll take them. I like that, but I don't need it, right? Instead, I need someone who can talk about value, not product information, right? And I need people who can talk like the industry. There's a lot of really bad industry people, too. I can tell you it's also one of the worst hires that you'll make, too, is the gal with the Rolodex. The guy with the Rolodex. Oh, Johnny Smith comes from biotech. Oh, my gosh, he's going to be amazing. He knows nobody. Dude gets you one deal, just constantly. You're like, hey, what happened to this Rolodex, Johnny? Oh, yeah, you know, oh, man, I've been carrying a bag for 30 years. Oh, you know. You know, I hate Rolodex. Rolodex salespeople are like the bane of my existence because they just skate on like 2. And like, look, I'm okay if you're good at it. Like if you're good at it and you know you're good at it and you're like, look, dude, I've got this connections. I'm going to come in. I'm going to crush it you for a year and a half. This is what I'm going to do. Do not ask me to cold call. This is what it is. I'm going to go like commission. You're going to pay me $400,000. Awesome. Like you know you. But don't, most of the people that you get, I want them to be, because the industry thing, I can get them up to speed on. Like ProtoCase. I can teach someone ProtoCase in a day. I can then go teach them the buyer personas in like 3 or 4 days. How do I talk to these types of engineers versus these types of engineers? What's a mechanical versus an industrial engineer? What is this type of custom? What's an aerospace company look like versus an industrial manufacturing company? I can teach people that stuff. But I got to be able to get on the phone and talk to a mechanical engineer like I know what that person does. I need to be able to get on the phone with an industrial manufacturing person and know what they do, right? So this is what it is. So I want you guys to think about this. Value, industry knowledge, okay? Coachability, curious, competitiveness, not aggression. A lot of times we confuse confidence and competitiveness with aggression, right? It's not aggression. Like, I can be confident, and a lot of times we confuse, I think you said confidence with being pushy. Like, no, I'm just confident. I'm not being pushy. I'm just confident. Like, I'm not just saying, oh, yeah, okay, all right. Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah.
Do you have any good behavioral survey tools that sort of
Yeah, for sure. We can talk about a few of them. So we use a tool called Profiles XT. There's another one this guy just created called retalent.io that's specific to salespeople. The key is you need, some of these, again, these are models, right? And so the problem with models is if you don't have 10 salespeople, I can't really build a model off it. You know what I mean? So, but some of these have, like Profiles XT has some behavioral things that you can kind of pick what you think are some of the leading indicators. The problem-solving one is that what a lot of people just don't get, that salespeople actually need to be able to solve problems. You know, like that's one that a lot of people, like at Glassdoor, I can give you an example. Whenever we look back over the year and we looked at the people we had to fire or let go, it was problem-solving. That these people, like basically, like if it was X plus 2 equals 4, I mean, literally, Profiles XT has a basic algebra on it. And consistently, the people we ended up having to let go, poor problem solvers. Because trying to explain Glassdoor back then of like, it's a site that had employee reviews on it, like people were like, what? You know, so if you just sold job postings, and you're like, you can get your jobs on our website, as opposed to selling value, they didn't know how to solve problems, and so they fizzled out. Like as a product becomes more well-known, and like the problems that you solve for become more well-known, then problem solving becomes less. But for a lot of you who are making a space, it's early on, you have to look for problem solving in your interview. So those are a few. There's another one. I think it's called Interviewed. That's specific for salespeople. Caliber? Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm a fan of behavioral interviews. I've got no problem with assessment tests, 0. Usually we'll do an assessment test right before like the meeting with like the big boss, but after the first 2. If any of you guys want to talk about an interview process, we won't really have time to do it over the next couple of days. We follow a methodology by a guy named Jeff Smart. It's called Who, W-H-O with a question mark. Have any of you read this book, Who? Yeah? His dad wrote a book called Top Grading, but a lot of times the problem with hiring salespeople is the charisma and the passion, and you're like, Permjot, I like him, you know, like, you know, they get you, man. I still do it too. Trust me, like I've hired hundreds and hundreds of salespeople, and I still do it sometimes. You know, I'm like, oh yeah, like, you know. But I guess it's been like at least like a year and a half till like I think I've like finally like cut the cord. But what we do is we basically do. I'll just kind of like walk you through the process. So we have like a 30 to 45 minute phone screen that we took directly from Who, and it's got these like very basic questions. The last question, this question has been like the moneymaker. I look at Mark and I say, or I'm on the phone with Mark on the phone screen. I say, so Mark, your last job was at Retalent. Who was your last boss there? Oh, that was Jim Henderson. Okay, how do you spell the last name? H-E-N-D-E. S-O-N or E-N? O-N. Okay, great. Okay, so when we talk to Jim, how is he going to rate your performance on a scale of 1 to 10 and why? That change, asking the question that way versus when I talk to your boss, what are they going to say about you? Night and day answer. Now, if they're an A player, they're like, oh, Jim's the man. Jim will say I'm probably a 9 or an 8. Like, he won't give anyone a 10, but blah, 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 blah. If there's a problem, they'll go, yeah, you know, Jim and I, blah, blah, blah. You guys know what I'm talking about. And the cool part is, if they, look, 1 out of 4 jobs, it happens. You know, like, but you'll see a pattern. What about, okay, great. So when we talk to Rachel Stevens, what is she going to say about you when we ask her? You see 2 or 3 of those, you'll start to notice patterns of aggression, different patterns. The last interview is like the kind of the one where you go into it. So that first interview, that's the last question, is just their last job. The next interview is called a skills interview. So basically for each role we create, and if Bob reminds me, I'll just send you guys a template for this, but a mission and values for the role. What is this role? What do they do? What should they care about? And then we also create a scorecard, which is like all the different skills and how they should rank on those skills between 1 to 5, and then red, yellow, green on how easy those skills are to change. Right? Because it could be a 5, a must-have, but it's a green. That means it's like, okay, you're a 3, I can get you there. Green means it's something I can coach you in. Integrity, it's a red. I can't teach you. You know, like I'm not going to coach you into integrity. Problem solving, like red. Like you're here now, problem solving is not something I can coach you. Like you kind of have it or you don't. So like we basically come up with this rubric, and so the next interview is like an hour and a half, and we pick 5 skills that we interview for. We ask all the candidates the same one. The third interview, and that one is in person sometimes. The third interview is where we go through every single job. There's like a set of 4 questions that we ask on every job, and we go deep. It's like 3 hours. And there's usually at least 2 people in the interview. And then we make a hire. The thing that you want to always eliminate is have the worst interviews that you can ever do for salespeople is have different people talk to them. Don't arm them with questions, right? I see so many companies doing this. Like, you know, like you go and tell Johnny Smith to go interview this person. They've never interviewed anybody. Or the only interviewing they've done is with you. You didn't train them how to do interviews. You know, and like all of a sudden you're like, hey, Johnny Smith, go interview this kid. And then what happens? You guys all get in a room, and what do you say? What do you think? Then everyone looks at fucking him, the CEO. And they wait for him to talk, and then everyone follows his lead. It's groupthink. Like, that's what kills interviews. Why are you laughing? Is it true? You're like, never? Yeah. I can tell you, it's what happens in we all look in these group settings for the power. We will all look, and it might not be the CEO. It could be the COO. It could be the VP of people. Each company has their own power dynamics that are different, but that groupthink will kill your interview with salespeople. Like, that's why we make it by the numbers. Johnny was a 3, 5, 5, 4, whatever, goes to the next phase. He's not, cut. Don't care how much you like him or he's a culture fit. I don't give a shit. Right? That way, we try to remove the gut because salespeople are tough. It's not like coding. Like, God, I wish like data science. Like, dude, I can see if you're good. Like, I can see by like what you code and like how you write your code. Like, sales is just harder. And so like that's why we just go super strict by the numbers. Who, again, like this methodology is literally straight from who. Like, so I'm not trademarking it. I'm saying this is what we do. Right, and I'm happy to send over, we've got templates for all this. So Bob, if you remind me along with the decks, I'll send over the templates for this too. That'll get you all started. And I think this is something, since I was here last year, I think this is something that we've buttoned up. Like we've gotten really good at this. The templates I'll send you are good. Like you'll be able to follow them pretty easily. Okay, the next thing I'm going to talk about is specialization. I talked about this a little bit last year because it's just is what it is. You said 10, 15 people that you're going to be? Okay, are they all just salespeople, account executives? Marketing, okay. How big is the team at Security? What about on the sales side? On the sales side? Yeah. 2 right now. 2? Okay. So you guys are doing everything probably? Yeah. Okay. What about for you guys, Blue Light? 4 salespeople? All doing everything? Yeah. R.I.P. R.I.P. You had to have one of those conversations. I hear you. Okay. So this is from a book. I'm not a huge fan of this book any longer for other reasons. It's called Predictable Revenue. It does give you a way to think about building a sales org that is still true today. Some of the metrics by how you judge a sales performance I just don't think are as relevant. But I just want to talk about some different roles here of like, this is what if you go to Boston, New York, San Francisco, Austin, you really go anywhere and you look at what a team of like 10, 15, 20 looks like, it's going to look like this, right? And that means you have these sales development, these qualifiers at the top of the funnel. You have closers, and then you have customer success and account management, right? The sales development reps are responsible if they're outbound, they're setting outbound meetings. If they're inbound, they're qualifying, and they're passing off qualified opportunities to salespeople. Think about your salespeople are probably your most highest paid resources outside of maybe executives and some engineers, period. Why are your most expensive resources cold calling? Like, why would you do that? Why would I have like my best like Python person, I could be totally making this up, Python person doing like UX? Like, no, UX is, well, it depends if it's easy or not. It depends on like what type of product you have. But you know what I mean? Like, salespeople generally aren't good at all 3 of these, right? Like, I grew up in an era where you kind of had to be. You had to go out and kill your own stuff. You had to go hunt it, kill it, and then farm it. Like but we've moved past that. Like most modern sales org now, you have a group of people who are responsible for generating qualified opportunities in concert with marketing. And that's why, when you talked about a little bit, Sandra, about marketing, to us, man, sales and marketing teams are just at the hip right now. Like they're joined together. A lot of these sales development teams, they actually report into marketing. The lead generation, marketing's job is to generate leads, period. Marketing's sole job in life, there's some brand marketing stuff too that has a tremendous value, is to generate leads. Therefore, if I can go hire a person for $5,000 a month to go generate leads or dump $5,000 into AdWords, it's just math. Right? Now, granted, maybe those leads converted a higher percentage or a higher contract value, so there's different levers you want to pull. But we're seeing more and more of these sales development teams report into marketing, right? Account executives closing, farmers growing, and renewing accounts, right? A lot of times these 2 roles are separate, where account management is responsible for this. Account managers and account executives look the same sometimes in like your high growth accounts because it's a growth opportunity. A lot of the time, that first deal that you get with a client is like the tip of the iceberg, right? So if you want, you might have like an account management group that looks a lot more like a sales organization. Customer success is focused on end user. I'm going to draw this. I didn't plan to draw it, but I will. Okay. I'll just try to show this in action. Okay. So you have SDRs, okay? These are lead gen, right? They generate meetings for you, okay? Pass the lead to account executives. Pass the lead to, I'll just call account managers the lead. Account managers / customer success for retention, retain, and grow. In early stages, you might want to leave the growth with the account executive. I'm sometimes cool with that. The problem is, as your team matures, the account executive will stop doing new business because this is easier money. It happens in every single sales org. If you let me just work my own book for 2 or 3 years, why am I ever going to go take down a new deal? I'm just going to go talk to Rachel and John and Susan and whatever who I've built a relationship with for forever. That's why eventually you always want to split, well, not always, many times you want to split the relationship. I want them focused on new. Now, usually there's a grace period, especially enterprise sales. I'll let the account executive keep it for 6 months or a year if there's new opportunities. Like, so the prerequisite to keep it in enterprise sales is we have to have a new opportunity or in the middle of a proof of concept. But if you close the deal and there's little upside, why is the salesperson still talking to this person? Like, if you close an account, there's only 10% upsell or 5%, move it over here. Now let this person go and take down, a brand new contract. So more and more, like, this is kind of what the orgs look like. And just here, I'll kind of blow this out. You have an AM, who's kind of like growth, retention, retain, CS, usage, training. This is particularly important at the enterprise level, like upper mid-market, because I don't want, I want someone, the problem is when you mix these two roles at the enterprise level, I don't want the person who's having executive level conversations training these people. Like, I want them staying out of the weeds. Like, I want them talking about ROI, here's what we're doing with your business, here's how we're going to grow together. Let someone else deal with the, onboarding an end user or changing a password. Like, this person makes just as much money usually as an account executive. Yeah?
We actually spent our drive down on this. We also have support, end-user support, which we think is different than success.
Oh, yeah, totally.
What we're struggling with is so we have enterprise accounts where success ultimately ends up, end-user success ultimately ends up sitting
Yep.
in our org structure.
Product. If people don't use your product, it's his fault. Period. The product's not good enough. Right? Or if the product's not there yet, it's your CS team's fault. Because, look, you're in the beginning stages of it, but at the end of the day, if people don't know how to use your product, it is the product is not user-friendly. Not that the users are stupid. I hear that, right? They just don't know how to use it. No, your user experience sucks. Right? So to me, at the end of the day, in reality, current account usually lives with your director of account management or customer success. But usually what you'll see as your companies mature is you'll have this different strati of how you treat accounts. So this is like customer service almost, right? So this is like service and support at. Then this person manages a bunch of accounts, 100 to 200. And then these people might manage 5 to 15 or 20. Depends on your average contract value, each of your businesses. But eventually, you cannot treat every customer equally. Based on how much they're spending with you and their propensity to spend, you get put in a level. So this is how you think about how you think about building out your, and up here, I can afford to have an account manager and customer success. Maybe here, and here it's probably got to be the same person, right? Or it's just a support at, right? So it doesn't have to be one size fits all. When you build out your service organization, it should not be one size fits all. Again, you might only be able to afford it at tier ones because the average contract value supports it. And then you can't support it at other tiers. It's a really good question. And a lot of you will go through this a lot faster than you think. There's just so much money you guys leave on the table because you don't think of these as growth opportunities as opposed to retain. Your first deal with a client, you're just getting the tip of the iceberg. Or you're not, and then cool, put them down here. But get them off the salesperson's lap. Why? You're making me renew this account? It's never going to grow? Why? Why am I talking to John Henderson in somewhere in Nevada? I don't want to talk to this dude. He's not going to spend any more money, and I know you're not going to pay me dollar for dollar on my renewal. So we can get into comp plan stuff. But when you think about building out your customer success org, you want to think about the tiers that you put your accounts in and deploy humans appropriately, right? And so, yeah, I would say, to me, retention is shared, right? Retention is shared between product and the leader of this pod, which could be your head of sales too. I know this might be further ahead. Does this resonate with everyone? Is this concept of like treating different people differently? It's okay. I know in our gut we think that that's bad. Oh, ratio. I'm just going to show you guys this. So I'll include the link to this. A common question, here I'm just going to go back. A common question that people ask us is how many sales development reps to account executives, right? How many appointment setters to account executives? And my answer is like, it depends, right? And so most companies still have account executives generate some of their own meetings, like 10% of their own meetings or 20%. Like you can't get to quota because you will only have, you won't have that many meetings. So again, like it's just kind of math. I'm going to share you, these are a couple of things. This is a really basic calculator. I'll share you guys, this is a free link that we have that you guys can have and you guys can have access to. You just can copy your own. It's like a basic Google Doc that'll help to just show you based on your quota, where your leads are coming from, what are your sales conversion rates, how many people you need to have. And this is, I'm going to talk tomorrow morning about running your business by the numbers. And this is all, running your sales org is just math, dude. It's like, how many leads do we need to generate X number of widgets? Like, okay, well, we need about this many. It breaks at your early stages, but it's just math. And like, if the answer ends up being like, we need 400 leads, like, well, we got to fix something, like, because we're not going to get 400 leads. I'm going to talk a lot about this tomorrow. Oh. All right. So that's kind of the main thing I wanted to cover here. Informed buyers, tech, and and specialization, right? I think a lot of people, as you guys are scaling your sales orgs in particular, your first hire may not need to be a salesperson. I talk to so many companies about this, like, we need to hire salespeople. I'm like, can you close? Yeah, I'm spending all my time closing. Okay, how about we go hire an SDR, and then when you're full, I go and backfill you with an account executives. Because guess what? These people are a lot less expensive, and they're easier to get up to speed. So it's like, why would you keep hiring account executives if their days aren't full? But yet, that's what a lot of companies do. You just keep hiring more closers because, but you're not worried about generating more leads. Like, get to generate more leads and then pass those to the closers. Don't keep hiring account executives. All right. So, Bob, we could take a break, or we'll just finish in like 20 minutes. Finish? You guys finish in 20? Yeah? My man over here is like, I got you, man. I got you.